माधव कुञ्ज बिहारी जय गोपीजनवल्लभा गिरिवरधारी जय राधा माधव कुञ्ज बिहारी यशोदनन्दन व्रज जनरञ्जन यशोदनन्दन व्रज जनरञ्जन यमुनतीरवनचारी यमुनतीरवनचारी जय राधमाधव कुञ्ज बिहारी हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे जय राम that tune please
जय राधा माधव राधा माधव
राधे जय राधा माधव राधा माधव राधे जय जगन्नाथ जय बलदेव सुभद्र मयि जय सुदर्शना जय श्रील प्रभुपाद जय जय प्रभुपाद हरे कृष्ण
Hare Krishna. Who's on the invocation prayer? Jai Lakshmi Mataji. Jai Lakshmi Mataji, are you there?
Yes, Mataji, 1 minute.
Okay.
Om Ajnana तिमिरान्धस्य ज्ञानाञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मिलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः श्रीचैतन्यमनोभीष्टं स्थापितं येन भूतले स्वयं रूपः कदा मह्यं ददाति स्वपादान्तिकम् नम ॐ विष्णुपादाय कृष्णप्रेष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदान्तस्वामिन् इति नामिने नमस्ते सारस्वते देवे गौरवाणि प्रचारिणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादि पाश्चात्यदेशतारिणे वन्देऽहं श्रीगुरो श्रीयुतपदपाद कमलं श्रीगुरून् वैष्णवंश्च श्रीरूपं साग्रजतं जातं सहगण रघुनाथान् वितं तं सजीवं साद्वैतं सावधूतं परिजनसहितं कृष्णचैतन्यदेवं श्रीराधाकृष्णपादान् सहगण ललिता श्रीविशाखान्वितंश्च हे कृष्णा करुणा सिन्धो दीनबन्धो जगत्पते गोपेशा गोपिका कान्ता राधा कान्ता नमोऽस्तु ते तप्तकाञ्चना गौराङ्गी राधे वृन्दावनेश्वरी वृषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये वाञ्छाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च च कृपा सिन्धुभ्य एव च पतितनां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधरा श्रीवासादि गौड़भक्त वृंदा हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे।
Hare Krishna.
हरे कृष्ण माताजी।
So the only way to remember this prayer and be comfortable with these prayers is if you can chant these prayers every day. whenever you do your evening or morning prayers, start and
Yes,
end your
Mataji.
prayers with these prayers. So you'll be comfortable with the recitation. This is not just
Mm-hmm.
for Jayalakshmi Mataji, for everyone. So every day, make it a point. Either take a printout of these prayers, keep it somewhere where you're sitting and chanting your prayers in front of the altar, and just read it from that page. So laminated papers or whichever papers. I'll share these prayers with all of you. So laminate it, get a hard copy of it, laminate it, and keep it close by to your altar so you can read from that every day. Okay. So these are good prayers to remember Krishna and the Guru Parampara.
Mataji, one more request. That
Sure.
Narsimha, that sloka that you sing, can you just record it separately and also post it so that we can practice with that
Oh,
and
Narsimha
learn?
Arati, is it?
In
Okay, we
Narsimha Arati, yes.
yes, yes,
And when
I'll
you post this PDF also, if possible, you can just recite it along with that so that
sure,
we do it
I'll
the
do all
same way
that.
that you do it. Okay? Yeah.
Yes,
Hare
yes.
Krishna. Thank you,
Is
Mataji.
Sunita Mataji around for the Narsimha Arati? Not yet. Okay, let me share the Narsimha Arati. नामस्ते नरसिंहाय नामस्ते नरसिंहाय प्रह्लादलाधदायिने प्रह्लादलाधदायिने हिरण्यकाशीपूर्वक्षः हिरण्यकाशीपूर्वक्षः शिलटङ्कानकालाय शिलटङ्कानकालाय इतो नरसिंहा परतो नरसिंहा इतो नरसिंहा परतो नरसिंहा यतो यतो यामि ततो नरसिंहा यतो यतो यामि ततो नरसिंहा बाहे नरसिंहा हृदये नरसिंहा बाहे नरसिंहा हृदये नरसिंहा नरसिंहमदीं शरणं प्रपद्ये नरसिंहमदीं शरणं प्रपद्ये तव करकमलवरेणका अद्भुता शृङ्गादलिता हिरण्यकशिपु तनुभृङ्गा ईर्षवद्रीता नरहरिरूपा जय जगदीश हरे जय जगदीश हरे जय जगदीश हरे तव करकमलवरेणका अद्भुत शृङ्गां दलिता हिरण्यकशिपु तनुभृङ्गा केशवद्रीता नरहरिरूपा जय जगदीश हरे जय जगदीश हरे जय जगदीश हरे जय विघ्नविनाशा जय नरसिंहदेव विघ्नविनाशा जय नरसिंहदेव जय लक्ष्मी नरसिंह जय अनन्तदेव लक्ष्मी नरसिंह जय अनन्तदेव जय भक्तवत्सला जय नरहरि भक्तवत्सला जय नरहरि जय प्रह्लाद महाराज जय प्रह्लाद महाराज जय प्रह्लाद महाराज शिला नरसिम्हदेव स्वामी की जय उग्रं वीरं महाविष्णुं ज्वलन्तं सर्वतोमुखं नरसिंहं भीषणं भद्रं मृत्युं नमाम्यहम् ॐ उग्रं वीरं महाविष्णु ज्वलन्तं सर्वतोमुखं नरसिंहं भीषणं भद्रं मृत्युं नमाम्यहम् ॐ उग्रं वीरं महाविष्णु ज्वलन्तं सर्वतोमुखं नरसिंहं भीषणं भद्रं मृत्युं नमाम्यहम् श्री नरसिम्हा देव भगवान की जय. Okay, welcome all back. We took a 1 week break on Gita Gyan. Does anyone remember what we discussed in chapter 3 so far? Anything you remember? Highlights, pastimes?
About
Jnana-
demigods and sacrifices we are doing for demigods to get all our to fulfill all our desires, everything. We are praying demigods and for doing for own for their own benefits. They are actually coming under the people, sin people. Otherwise, the bhakti.
Can you repeat your last point, Mataji? What was that?
Those are doing for their own benefits.
Okay.
Yeah, they're actually they aimed for getting all those boons through demigods.
Okay. Material
Without giving
benefits.
sacrifices, they are coming under
Okay.
sin category, sin people category.
It
Yeah.
doesn't have to be sinful activities, Mataji, but people pray to demigods for material benefits. And demigod worship is also pious activity. Okay, but with the intention of why you're praying, for what kind of benefits, the reactions you're seeking from this prayers, that reaction can be sinful or pious as well. So that can vary. But the process of following the Shastra scriptures, how Vedas say this demigod worship like this, if you do it like that, exactly like that, then it's still a pious activity.
Okay.
Okay. But a pious activity is also in Sattva Guna. You see that? Above Sattva Guna, there's the lowest is Tamo Guna, in between is Raja Guna, highest level is Sattva Guna. But if you transcend all these three material nature, above these three is it's called as Krishna consciousness,
Yes,
right? Being a devotee, being a Vaishnava. Jai, thank you for that, Mataji. Any other points anyone remembers?
Jnanendriyam, Karmendriyam.
Repeat that, Prabhuji.
Jnanendriyam and Karmendriyam.
What about that? What do you remember? What did we discuss about Jnanendriya and Karmendriyas?
Empirical Jnana Yoga. Sorry.
Okay, you don't remember. Okay, anybody else remembers anything? Any pastimes we discussed? Anything?
Sustainment of our body is entirely depending upon yajna. So while doing yajna only, we'll get rain, and through rain, we can yield grains, and grains will improve our
Yes.
body. Yes.
Can I request everyone to be on video?
Yes, actually, I'm not feeling well. It's
Yeah, and
almost
that's okay.
running
If you
everything. That's what.
yes,
Just
others, please
I'll
be
put
on
it.
video. Okay. Okay, good. Let's summarize. Looks like most of you may have forgotten some points that we discussed. So let's summarize chapter 3. It's been some time we discussed it. So I'll just take you quickly through the summary and then we'll catch on with verse 18. Okay, so we started with Arjuna's question in chapter 3, Karma Yoga. He had this question. So, are you telling that is working in intelligence better than working in fruitive work or karma kanda? So, should I give up karma altogether and just renounce? So, Arjuna is saying, is Jnana Yoga then better than doing karma yoga? Right? So, Krishna is saying, Yes, some people work in empirical and philosophical knowledge and other work in devotional service. But just by giving up all kind of work, that is verse 4, Krishna is saying, but just by giving up all kind of work, one cannot get rid of all sins. So merely by abstaining from work, one cannot achieve freedom from reactions, nor by renunciation alone can one attain perfection. Right? So then, what is the right path to? And in fact, Krishna says further in verse 6 that one who restrains your senses of action, but whose mind is constantly dwelling on sense objects, certainly deludes himself and is called a pretender or a mithyachari. We had a very detailed discussion on the difference between people who are trying to control their mind or people who are pretending to show that they have got their mind in control, but the actual mind is not in control. And externally they are showing like they are wearing very sacrificial clothes, or externally they are showing that they have renounced everything, but internally if their mind is very distracted and always constantly dwelling on sense objects, then such a person is called a mithyachari. Then Krishna further goes in much detail to explain karma kanda activities. He says that okay, if one cannot even sustain their own body without doing any kind of work, right? So one has to work. So in that sense, he's saying work should be done as a sacrifice to Vishnu. Any work that we do should be done for the Lord. Okay, otherwise that such activities will create bondage to material world. Okay, but otherwise, if you work as a sacrifice to Krishna, there's no bondage. That such work is free from bondage. And further, he says, and Krishna is called as Yagna Purusha. Okay, so even when you're performing yagnas, because its performance will bestow upon you everything desirable for living happily and achieving liberation. Okay, so he's recommending the process of yagna. And here's where Krishna is starting to talk about karma kanda activities. Okay, he's saying the demigods, when you do yagnas, then the demigods are pleased. And because they are pleased, and then there's cooperation, because men are doing yagnas, they are pleasing the demigods. The demigods are then being pleased with the men who are doing this yagna, and in turn, they fulfill all their requirements. They give them prosperity. And this way, there's a cooperation between men and demigods. So, Krishna has very nicely set up this process of cooperation between men and demigods. Okay, so in various ways, what happens when we do yagna? From yagna, rain comes, right? And from rain, then all our material enjoyment and all that is taken care of. But where does yagna itself come from? Yagnas are coming from the Vedas, and Vedas is coming from the Supreme Lord, right? So in this way, there's a cycle of sacrifice. A cycle of sacrifice. You can see that mentioned in verse 16. The cycle of sacrifice where we perform yagnas, and from that comes rain, the grains, and then from grains again we have to and the the yagnas in itself come from Vedas, and Vedas come from Supreme Lord. So like this, if you do yagna, and after you do yagna, if the demigod is pleased, and you don't and they give you something to live happily in this material world, and if you try to enjoy this material gains from this which is given by the demigod without offering them in turn to the demigods, then Krishna says that such a person is called as a thief. It's like a tax system. The government takes care of us, we take care of the government, right? We pay our taxes every month. When the salary comes, there's some tax we give back to the government. So similarly, when the demigods give us some boons, fulfill our prayers, then we in turn will have to give back, do more yagna to keep sustain the demigods. This way, the demigods will get their strength. Right? So this is a cycle of sacrifice. If this cycle of sacrifice is broken, then there is other extreme situation like the drought or extreme rain, right? Or earthquakes or some acts of God, like we call it. So extreme situation like the different kinds of diseases spreading, or mass destruction of property and wealth. All this is happening because of the demigods. different demigods if they are not kept happy. So this is the cycle of sacrifice. So we have to keep the demigods happy. They in turn will keep us happy. But we also discuss how Krishna is not dependent on these yagnas. Right? Krishna has recommended the yagnas for us, for our own internal purification. Right? Through the process of doing this pious activity, eventually we'll transcend sattva guna and eventually go back to pure Krishna consciousness or bhakti yoga. So the process of yagna or the Vedas itself is there to take us back to the Godhead, Supreme Lord. It's not there just to keep our material life happy. It is there for something even beyond our material life. So eventually, as we progress in pious living, then eventually we reach to the transcend even the sattva guna. We transcend even the Brahmanical qualities, and then we become a Vaishnava or a pure devotee. So finally, on verse 17, we discuss, but for one who takes pleasure in the self, whose human life is one of self realization, which is satisfied in the self only, fully satiated, for him there is no duty. So Krishna is taking a U-turn at this point. So far, he's spoken about how we do demigod worship, do this for material pleasure. You'll take care of the gods, gods will take care of you. So it seemed like Krishna is promoting karma kanda activities. But here, verse 17 is saying, for one who takes pleasure in self, whose life is one of self-realization. So he's saying one who has, is in the pure sense of Shuddha Bhakti to Krishna, okay, not to demigods, to Krishna. Then for them, there are no such duties of karma kanda. They transcend even the karma kanda, and then there's only one path for them, which is self-realization, understanding the requirements of the soul and keeping the soul nourished and happy, taking the soul back to Krishna. That's only duty of the self-realized. Okay, any questions on anything that was discussed so far till verse 17? All clear? Okay, let's start with verse 18 now. Vidya Mataji, could you help me go through the list?
Yes, Mataji, just give me 1 second.
Hare
Prema
Krishna.
Mai Mataji, you can start.
Hare Krishna Mataji.
Hare Krishna.
Neva tasya kritena artho na kriteneha kaschana na chasya sarvabhuteshu kaschid artha vyapashaya. Translation and purport by A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada, Prabhupada ki jai. A self-realized man has no purpose to fulfill in the discharge of his prescribed duties, nor has he any reason not to perform such work, nor has he any need to depend on any other living being. Purport. A self-realized man is no longer obliged to...
Purport is not needed, Mataji, just the translation. Hare Krishna.
Hare
So a
Krishna.
self-realized man has no purpose to fulfill in the discharge of his prescribed duty. So Krishna is saying a self-realized man, a person who is in Shuddha Bhakti, okay, has no purpose to fulfill in the discharge, nor has he any reason not to perform such work, nor has he any need to depend on other living beings. So he's talking about here Krishna conscious activities or karma. Okay, a self-realized person has no such purpose. So in the purport, he's saying a self-realized, Srila Prabhupada is saying, a self-realized man is no longer obliged to perform any prescribed duties save and except activities in Krishna consciousness. So Krishna consciousness, not inactivity either, or as will be explained in the following verses. A Krishna conscious man does not take shelter of any person, man, or demigod. Whatever he does in Krishna consciousness is sufficient in the discharge of his obligation. So Srila Prabhupada is again reminding us that Krishna conscious activity is not inertia. It does not mean doing nothing, right? Even Krishna consciousness is very active process. There's nothing like inactivity in Krishna consciousness, right? And his devotees, Krishna's devotees, will not surrender to anybody but Krishna because he is the ultimate goal. Even if they surrender to demigod, it's with the intention to understand Krishna better, to serve Krishna better. There's no other personal motive in that surrender to Krishna. So that's the mood of a self-realized person. Let's read verse 19.
Hare Krishna Mataji.
Hare Krishna.
Tasmadasakta satatam karyam karma samachara asakto yacharan karma paramapnoti purushah. Translation. Therefore, without being attached to the fruits of activities, one should act as a matter of duty, for by working without attachment, one attains the supreme.
So this is how a self-realized person will work. This is exactly Nitkama Karma Yoga. Without being attached to the fruits of the activity, one should act as a matter of duty, or by working without attachment, by working without attachment, one attains the supreme. So Krishna is again reminding Arjuna that Arjuna should fight, but without being attached to what will happen to my family, what will happen to myself, what about the results of my activities, sin and enjoyment and family traditions. All that is inconsequential. He should fight because Krishna wants it. Right? So that's the only activity that Arjuna should focus on. He should not be attached to the fruits of the activities, and he should do his duty as a matter of duty. He should work as a matter of duty. Only by working without attachment, one can attain the supreme. Can you read here, Mataji?
Yeah. The supreme is the personality of Godhead for the devotees and liberation for the impersonalist. A person, therefore, acting for Krishna or in Krishna consciousness under proper guidance and without attachment to the result of the work is certainly making progress toward the supreme goal of life. Arjuna is told that he should fight in the battle of Kurukshetra for the interest of Krishna because Krishna wanted him to fight. To be a good man or a non-violent man is a personal attachment, but to act on behalf of the Supreme is to act without attachment for the result. That is perfect action of the highest degree, recommended by the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Sri Krishna. Vedic rituals like prescribed sacrifices are performed for purification of impious activities that were performed in the field of sense gratification. But action in Krishna consciousness is transcendental to the reactions of good or evil work.
Stop there, Mataji. Thank you. Okay, so action in Krishna consciousness is transcendental to the reactions of good or evil work. What do you understand? Isn't Krishna conscious activities good in nature? So how does it even transcend good activities? What do you understand by that?
Mataji, even if we do good activities, we get merit. And for enjoying those merits, we have to take birth again.
Yes.
And
You will not get karma by doing activity in Krishna consciousness.
Yes. We transcend even the good activities. Forget the sinful activities. Sinful activities, understood that we want to do it. But even the good activities, even sattva guna that people crave for, the pious activities, which is why Krishna is saying, forget about karma kanda activities. Forget about doing yagnas for demigod, right? Because that will give you good pious merit. But that will again bring you back to material existence, right? So even material work done in piety, like giving donation to a poor man or doing yagna to please the demigod, you donate some money to buy some medicines for the sick people. These are all pious work. Okay, but this will definitely give you good results, right? Remember what we spoke about? We spoke about karma, vikarma, and akarma. Karma is pious activities. Vikarma is impious activities. And akarma is working Krishna consciousness. So vikarma is bad work or sinful reactions. But karma is good work, which means it gives you some kind of piety. However, both of them are ultimately binding to the material world. One is compared to a golden shackle, and other is compared to a iron shackle. Which is a golden shackle and which is an iron shackle?
Karma is golden shackle and vikarma is iron shackle.
Iron shackle. Uh, See, golden shackle, it's all shiny, it's is soft on the skin. People will like the golden shackle. What is your understanding of golden shackle in this material world? What are the different things that shackles us to the material world? Golden
Shiny
shackle.
and everything is good. And
Sorry, what? Yeah, okay.
shiny and very glittery. All that glitters is not gold. That is simply what he's
From a material sense, tell me. I understand
sense.
gold is shiny and glittery, but what are the gold shackles we see in the material life that keeps us attracted?
Family members, Mataji.
Once
money, wealth.
Yes, yes. Yes. So when you're doing pious activities and the reactions of this are very nice, like you get good fame, people are able to recognize you, and as a result of that, because of your high knowledge, people are ready to give you a lot of wealth, money, and your family loves you because you've got such good, reputation in the society. Everyone likes you. Now these are like golden shackles, right? It looks good, the golden shackle looks good, but it's still binding us, right? Similarly, all these things on the material level, which looks good, are still keeping us attached to the material world, right? So it's a golden shackle. On the other hand, your impious credits or your iron shackle, that is sinful activities. You hit someone, kill someone, those are sinful activities. They are reactions, or you try to do something good and the person who's receiving your donation is doing impious activity with that amount. That impiety also in turn comes to you, right? Because that is why we say, even when you give donation, you'll have to be careful on who you give your donation to. Is the person worthy to receive a donation, right? Because the reaction of the person who's received the donation and how he uses that donation also comes back to you. So there is good shackles and the bad shackle, gold shackle and iron shackle. But the thing is, both of them are binding, right? There's a funny incident once. Radhanath Maharaj, His Holiness Radhanath Maharaj. So there's a small pastime where they were on the banks of Mother Yamuna. uh, all of you might have heard about how Ganga, she removes sin from everybody. So people go every year to take immerse themselves in Ganga, and they come out, right? They take a bath and they say the sinful reactions have gone, like that. So similarly, even when we are reading Gita Amrita, there are many spaces where how the purifying nature of Ganga is explained. This, she removes all the sin. So this one time when devotees, along with His Holiness Radhanath Maharaj, they went to take to immerse in Mother Yamuna. Uh, he actually told them that you know what's the specialty of Yamuna Devi? She not only takes your vikarma, by bad activities, bad sins, right? She even takes your sukarma, pious activities. That's a fact. Ganga takes away the sinful reactions, but Yamuna takes both sinful and the pious activities. So, which means to say that your piety will also go. Now, people were confused uh, because everyone is they may not be so attached to vikarma, but they are definitely attached to their pious activities, right? I have done so much pious activities, done so much donations, I have done so many yagnas for demigods. So somehow we are very attached, and many people who heard this never took uh, immerse took a dip in Yamuna Devi that day, because they wanted to keep their pious activities. Somehow they felt that even if I have to keep their impious activity, that is still okay. But if because of trying to lose impiety, if my piety is also gone, then that is not a good deal. So people avoided Yamuna immersions that day. But Radhanath Maharaj was actually convinced them later that it's good, because both piety and impiety keeps you bound to the material world. So it's better that you lose attachment to both of it, and just focus on Krishna consciousness alone. So this way, karma and akarma, karma and vikarma, they are transcended by akarma. Akarma is when there's working for Krishna directly. There's no reactions here, right? Hence, we are becoming shackleless. We are slowly getting liberated from material living and getting back, trying to go back to Krishna. So that's our constant remembrance of Krishna. Okay, let's go to next verse 20.
Hare Krishna Mataji.
Hare Krishna.
कर्मणैव हि संसिद्धं नास्तिता जनकादयः लोकसङ्ग्रहमेवापि सम्पश्यन् कर्तुमर्हसि. Translation: Kings such as Janaka attained perfection solely by performance of prescribed duties. Therefore, just for the sake of educating the people in general, you should perform your work. Hare Krishna Mataji.
Can you read the purport also, Mataji? I'll tell you when to stop.
Yes, Mataji. A purport. Kings like Janaka were all self realized souls, consequently, they had no obligation to perform the prescribed duties in the Vedas. Nonetheless, they performed all prescribed activities just to set examples for the people in general. Janaka was the father of Sita and father in law of Lord Sri Rama. Being a great devotee of the Lord, he was transcendently situated, but because he was the king of Mithila, a subdivision of Bihar province in India, he had to teach his subjects how to perform prescribed duties. Lord Krishna and Arjuna, the Lord's eternal friend, had no need to fight in the battle of Kurukshetra, but they fought to teach people in general that violence is also necessary in a situation where good arguments fail.
Hare
Before the
Krishna.
battle of Hare
Thank
Krishna
you,
Mataji.
Mataji. So, in previous verse, Krishna said one should do their duty without attachment. He's talking about prescribed duties. One should do their prescribed duty. And where does prescribed duty come from? From Varnashrama, right? So, Brahmanas have their set of duties. Their Kshatriyas have a set of duties. Vaishyas and Shudras, they have their own set of duties. So, everyone should do their duty. And by doing their duty without attachment, as and he's saying how as an example of what's the best example to perform your duty, prescribed duty without attachments, he's giving a reference of Janaka Maharaj, okay, who's the father of Mother Sita. And Janaka Maharaj, we should remember, he's called as a Raja Rishi because even though he was a king of the place called Mithila, he also was living like a rishi, right? So like Mataji read in the purport, uh, Janak Maharaj would perform his kingly duties. If he is needed to wage wars, he'll wage war, right? And then he'll also encourage his daughters and subjects to learn the Shastra, to learn the scriptures. So this way, he was not just doing a duty of a king, a father, the different roles he had to play, but he was doing all that in Krishna consciousness. So he demonstrated very well how to be a good householder, how to perform his duties, but all while being in Krishna consciousness, right? Which is a very rare quality. He showed how one should engage in karma yoga while being engaged in bhakti yoga also, right? Which is why he set as an ideal example of a person who can work in material world without detachment. And because of this one quality of Janak Maharaj, he's also one of the 12 Mahajanas. Yamaraja, in fact, when he's reciting the list of 12 Mahajanas, he mentions the name of Janak Maharaj as well, right? So Yamaraj himself recognizes Janak Maharaj as a Mahajana because of his, because of doing his prescribed duties without attachment. Is Maharaj Janak Maharaj the only example of performing prescribed work? No, there are many examples. If you read Srimad Bhagavatam, there are many, many examples of many, many devotees who do their prescribed duty without attachment. You can think of Prithu Maharaj. Prithu Maharaj is in Satya Yuga, and the Yuga Dharma at that point was to perform yagnas, right? Sorry, it's not Satya. He was in Treta Yuga, so the Yuga Dharma was to perform yagnas. So he performed yagnas. And he performed so many yagnas, 99 Ashwamedha yagnas. If he had done the 100th Ashwamedha yagna, he would be next eligible to be the Indra. But whenever he did this yagna, he did not do this yagna with the whole with the intention of pleasing the demigods alone. He was doing these yagnas with the understanding that he's praying to the Supreme Lord himself. Or when he's offering water to Surya, he is praying to Surya. He's praying to Surya Narayana because the name of the Paramatma within Surya is Surya Narayana. That's the name of the Paramatma for Surya, right? So he's praying to the Paramatma within Surya, and he's remembering the Lord this way. So even his prayers showed how you can remember the Lord even when you're looking at different things in the material nature like the Surya, Chandra, how you can remember Lord and pray to the Lord directly. So these are different ways one can perform their duties while in the material world, but without being attached to their prescribed duties. Okay, so let's read verse 21. If you have any questions, please stop me at any point, because otherwise I'll keep going in a flow.
Anjana Mataji?
Yes, Mataji. यद्यद् आचरते श्रेष्ठा तद्दत् एव तरो जना तयत् परणं कुरुते लोकस्तद् अनुवर्तते. Translation: whenever action a great man performs, common men follow, and whatever standards he sets by exemplary acts, all the world pursues. Hare Krishna, Mataji.
Hare Krishna. So Krishna is talking about being a Shrestha. Shrestha is, how do you understand Shrestha? A great man, a respectable leader. In your family, a father or the mother is a Shrestha, right? Whatever a father, mother does, the child will follow. If father and mother is setting exemplary behavior of how to be a nice Krishna devotee, the child, even though they may not understand everything, but they'll blindly follow, right? So that is the meaning of being a Shrestha, a a respectable leader. Right? Leader is not just limited to people who are in certain positions. Even within your family, you can play the role of a leader, right? So whatever actions, whatever examples a Shrestha sets, then the common people follow. So you should remember that here in this verse, Krishna is reminding Arjuna that he is a Shrestha, right? Remember back then, 5,000 years ago, there was no social media, right? So, but still, Krishna and Arjuna were very famous. Everybody in the public knew them. Uh, th- and how did they know? Because of all their heroic acts. So everyone knew. So he's referring to Arjuna as a Shrestha and saying, whatever standards you set up now, others will follow. If you decide to not fight, give up the war, then people will say, Arjuna did that, so I will also follow that. So whether you're doing right or wrong does not matter. People will blindly follow you because they consider you as a respectable leader. We see that happening even in our today's society, isn't it? There are so many famous people, especially in the times of social media. Any website you open, there's some news article on somebody famous or rich, and whatever they do, people will follow. Whether they are wearing a certain kind of shoes, or they are saying some kind of ideology, they're talking about a certain idea, people will follow, and whatever they promote will certainly become famous. And especially in Kali Yuga, this fame comes not from their knowledge. It comes from different other external factors, like how do they talk, how do they look, how many cuts they have in their abs, how good their hairstyle is, right? Things like that, external things. Example, if Virat Kohli, recently there were some pictures of Virat Kohli going to a temple, participating in a kirtan. So what will people do? His followers, Virat Kohli's followers, will say, okay, because Virat Kohli is going to such a such organization to participate in kirtan, even I want to do the same. So suddenly you'll see Virat Kohli's followers going to a certain Guruji and participating in his kirtans and doing all those things. But the thing is, when you follow such people, Shreshtas in Kali Yuga, they say a certain things one time, like Virat Kohli himself is a vegan, but so he says this is enough for me, but and people follow him because he's a vegan as well. So people will say Virat Kohli is a vegan, so I'll also be a vegan. But someday in future, if he says my protein intake has reduced, now I have to go back to non-vegetarian diet, his followers will blindly follow that as well. So this is called unintelligent people following, right? The followers are being unintelligent. So we need to know what kind of shreshtas should one follow, and for what reasons they should follow, right? So earlier times, a brahmana would be considered as a shreshta. Brahmana, why? Because Brahmanas, they read the Shastra, they have the right ideology. So Brahmanas would be considered Shrestha. So whatever a Brahmana says, everybody would follow, right? They say, do this, and this is a right way for to fix this is the right books to read, right lifestyle to follow. So if a Brahmana says that, no questions asked, people will follow that. But today, in modern times, who is that Shrestha? Who is the person that that person will follow without any questions asked? Who do you think has replaced Brahmanas?
Cinema heroes, Mataji.
Okay. Any other? I mean, if cinema heroes can also be questioned, isn't it?
Yes, Mataji.
Right.
YouTube
The
influencers.
Mataji,
yeah. Sorry, who was that?
I said fake governments, Mataji.
Government. Okay. Okay. So Brahmanas are known for their intelligence. Remember that. So who has replaced Brahmanas in Kali Yuga are scientists, right? Whatever a scientist says, people will believe blindly. They say that there's 9 planets today. They'll say, yes, yes, the scientist has confirmed there's 9 planets, so there must be 9 planets. And some other time, if they say there's no 9 planets, there's only 8 planets, they say, yes, yes. If you're saying it's not ninth one is not a planet, then it's not a planet. So, based on intelligence, okay, the Brahmanas are being replaced by scientists. But unfortunately, most of the scientists today are atheists. Most of them, right? So most of the times they question our devotional way of life. They say, why should the deities be offered milk? Why should they be offered so many luxury things? Right? And if a scientist puts out a question in the public like this, then people already think that yes, if the scientist has said such a thing, then it is wrong. That we're offering food to the deities, we're offering milk, or we're giving jewelries to the Lord, right? So most of the times, our society is already based on how the scientists say and speak. Our society is also streaming their thoughts, most part of it. People, at least who are not inclined to devotional life, they'll take opinions from such people and then make their own opinion. And this is why we have so many atheists in today's society, because our faith is in these scientists, and because most scientists are atheists in their way of conversation and thinking, then they question all our scriptural processes. And this way, there was one actor called Akshay Kumar. He did some movie and he put these questions on how God and this and that. And many people, it became like a revolution at that time, because people suddenly felt that what this movie is saying or preaching is absolutely right. There's no need to put God in a pedestal all the time, right? Doesn't need so much reverence. So people will follow these great people, Shreshtas, based on simply because they follow and they just want to follow somebody. They'll not follow God, but they'll follow these so-called people, empirical or philosophical knowledge, whatever comes from these scientists or movie actors, or whoever they consider as their idol, they'll just blindly follow them. Right. Similarly, with Ekadashi, we do Ekadashis once in 15 days. Right. Our Shastra has told Ekadashi is good for so many years now. And no years, it's like yuga after yugas, billions of years now. But if a scientist says do intermittent fasting, right? Or there was actually a research from a French scientist that said if you fast once in 15 days, then your cancer cell dies, right? So this way they promoted the fact that fasting is good. And he also got a Nobel Prize for that. But the same Ekadashi has been promoted in the scriptures for everyone for so long, and nobody has been following it. But because the scientist said, and he got a Nobel Prize for that, people started following. So Ekadashi fasting, we'll listen about Ekadashi Mahatmya, we'll talk about this. Then what we do, because the scientist has not said Ekadashi Mahatmya, we'll go and eat vada pav on Ekadashi specifically, right? So this is how most people are. Why? Because at some level, all of us have some degree of atheism in us. We might pray to God, but our conviction in God is not absolute, right? Mayavada is so internalized in our DNA that complete surrender or complete belief in the Lord is absolutely impossible for us today, right? Mayavada is to say that Krishna is same, everybody is same, all demigods are same. So it's somehow internalized, in our DNA, and we have become some degree of atheism is there in everyone. Nobody can absolutely say that Krishna is absolute Lord, because that kind of conviction doesn't come in our heart. But however, for a devotee, Ekadashi, it comes with his health benefits of weight loss, cancer cell, reduction, whatever these benefits are. But irrespective, even if these benefits were not there at all, they would still do Ekadashi because this is what pleases the Lord. So what matters is that Vishnu is pleased by performing these Ekadashis. So all these other things that's happening to our body or not happening, these are the side effects. Like while we're chanting, there are many things that people say we'll get bliss of mind and this and that, you'll get able to focus, concentrate. These are all side effects. The sins getting diminished is a side effect, right? But we chant because it pleases the Lord. So ultimately, we'd go back to listening to the Shreshtas then. So whoever is a Shreshta for the current time, we try to follow that. But so anyway, the definition of the word Shreshta has changed in Kali Yuga. We should remember that. Just because they are famous does not really make them Shreshta in terms of understanding the scriptures. But another way of understanding Krishna consciousness is even if people are not at the level of considering Krishna as a Shreshta, or considering the scriptures as a Shrestha, in that case, at least they should be groomed to the stage of being a nationalist. Or, if they don't consider Krishna as a Shrestha, let them at least consider some great kings like Chhatrapati Shivaji Maharaj as a hero. Right? So if they can't consider Lord Ram as a hero, then at least they consider some great kings as a hero. So at least they have that nationalistic spirit in them. Right? Eventually, from nationalistic spirit, Hinduism, some level of devotee, demigod worship will come, and from there they'll come up to Krishna worship. So some level, degree of, this various level of isms is there in us. So if we are not completely into Krishna consciousness, then we can go into the lower degrees of some kind of nationalism or thinking of other kind of demigod worship. That can also bring us to the stage of Krishna consciousness eventually. So Krishna is telling Arjuna that here, Arjuna, you are the Shrestha. Remember, Arjuna is a celebrity of that time, same as Virat Kohli maybe of this time, right? People know about him, and Arjuna is a Shrestha. He's a celebrity, and if you do this, the act of giving up the war, then people will use you as an example and give up karma. They'll give up their duties, so everyone else will follow your example. Okay, so this is what Krishna is telling to Arjuna. Let's go to verse 22.
Sita Mataji is not there, Mataji.
Oh, okay. Who wants to read? Anybody is not on the list today? You read, Mataji. Vidya Mataji.
Thank you, Mataji. न मे पार्थस्ति कर्तव्यं त्रिषु लोकेषु किंचन नानावाप्तम् अवाप्तव्यं वर्ता एव च कर्मणि. Translation: O son of Pritha, there is no work prescribed for me within all the three planetary systems, nor am I in want of anything, nor have I a need to obtain anything, and yet I am engaged in the prescribed duties. Hare Krishna.
Hey, Krishna. So Krishna is saying, forget about you. People follow you. You're a Shrestha. People will follow you. Why does Krishna do his duties? Because of the same reason. He says there's no work prescribed for him, right? In the three, who will tell him anything? If he doesn't do his duty, who will tell him that, Krishna, you did not do your duty, so you're incurring sins? Will anybody can do that to Krishna? He's beyond all that. So for him, there is no prescribed work in all the three planetary systems, higher planet, lower planet, or material, whichever planet he is in. There's no duties for Krishna, nor am I in want of something or anything. Nor have I need to obtain anything, and yet I'm engaged in prescribed duties. So Krishna is saying he himself is engaged in prescribed duties, right? And it's very nicely explained in Krishna books how Krishna, while he's in Dwaraka, he had just killed Narakasura. This comes in the 10th canto, and he had just killed Narakasura, and he had married the 16,000 princesses at that time. And at this point, Narada Muni comes and visits Krishna. right? So Krishna has got 16,108 wives at this point, and Narada Muni just wanted to come and see how Krishna is managing everything. And it said that when he entered Dwaraka palace, Krishna was resting, and Rukmini, his wife, was serving Krishna. Like he's taking care of all the menial. Though she has so many maid servants, she herself personally is taking care of Krishna, all his needs. So when they saw Narada Muni enter, Krishna, personally went and received Narada Muni. He offered him a seat, and then what did he do? He did a Jala Abhishek of Narada Muni's feet. He offered water to the lotus feet of Narada and sprinkle that water on his own head. Imagine that, right? So why is Krishna doing that? Because he's setting an example. Now Narada Muni, after visiting Krishna this way, what he does, he wants to see how Krishna is managing all these 16,000 wives, because he can see that whichever palace he goes now, so he goes to each and every palace. So in one palace, he could see that Krishna is playing dice with his queen, and in another palace, he's playing with his infant children, or he's in another place he's taking his bath or something, or performing fire sacrifice, doing yagnas, and then in another place he's offering food and accepting the remnants of the food offered to brahmanas. In another place he's doing some noontime rituals. He's chanting his Gayatri mantra. He's sitting and meditating. He's playing some water games with his female companions. So or he's offering charity to brahmanas. Another place he's just meditating on the super soul, right? Or he's arranging the marriage for his sons and daughters. So this way, every palace that he goes, he can see Krishna personally there in every palace. He's expanded himself to that many beings, right? It said that even the topmost kind of person who has the top siddhis, they can expand up to 8 different times at the same time. But Krishna here had expanded 16,000 times and more, right? And so Krishna, if he had to expand even beyond that, he can do that, just like the Paramatma within. He's expanded in every jiva as a Paramatma, and every Paramatma is Krishna himself in his complete potency, right? So Krishna can do that. So Krishna, like this, Narada Muni looked at all these different activities, and he sees how Krishna, though is the supreme Lord, is still engaged in all these karma kanda activities of feeding the brahmanas, or doing sandhya vandana, or meditating on the Lord, or doing his kingly duties. Like this, or even during his brahmacharya days, he went to a gurukul. He studied under her. He accepted a spiritual master. He studied, so he followed the duties of a kshatriya. He follows the duties of a brahmana. He follows the duties of being a king or a husband. So he's doing all that. And why is Krishna doing it? Because he'll explain that further in the next verse. Let's read verse 22, 23.
Sindhu Mataji? Sindhu Mataji, you there? She's there, but she's not unmuted.
Okay, Preeti Mataji, read.
Hare Krishna Mataji. Just a second.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Mataji.
Oh, Sindhu Mataji, go ahead.
Sorry, Mataji, there was a power cut.
Okay.
यदि हि अहं न वर्तेयं जातु कर्मण्यतन्द्रिताः मम वर्तमानुवर्तन्ते मनुष्य पार्थ सर्वशः. For if one ever failed to engage in carefully
For if
performing...
I ever failed.
Oh, yes, ma'am. For if I ever failed to engage in carefully performing prescribed duties, O Partha, certainly all men would follow my path.
Ide pura ime lokan puri.
Okay, because Krishna is saying, if I fail to follow my prescribed duties, then men will follow. right? When he, so like that, whenever he's in Dwaraka and whenever he's interacting with people in the material sense, he follows the rules and regulations or the prescribed duties or whatever has to be followed, whatever is prescribed in the Varnashrama Dharma. So he's following all that. So why? Because if he does not, then everyone will follow his example. Okay, so this is the reason why Krishna makes sure that even he follows all the prescribed duties. Let's read verse 24.
Harsh Prabhu is not coming today.
Okay, Preeti Mataji.
Hare Krishna Mataji. Text 24. उत्सिदेयुर इमे लोका न कुर्यं कर्म चेदहं शङ्करस्य च कर्ता शाम उपहन्याम imam praja. Translation by A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada ki jai. If I did not perform prescribed duties, all these worlds would be put to renunciation. Ruination. I would be cause of creating unwanted population, and I would thereby destroy the peace of all living beings. Thank you.
So remember Arjuna's fourth concern and why he didn't want to fight. Does anyone remember what was the fourth reason Arjuna gave for not wanting to fight?
Unwanted population would
that was one of the
downfall.
Yes. Yeah, family traditions would be destroyed. That was the fourth reason. So Krishna is answering to that question. He says family traditions will be ruined by not performing your prescribed duties. So Varna Shankara will happen if Arjuna did not fight. So read this part, Mataji.
Hare Krishna. One should simply follow the instructions of the Lord and his empowered servants. Their instructions are all good for us, and any intelligent person will perform them as instructed. However, one should guard against trying to imitate their actions. One should not try to drink the ocean of poison in imitation of Lord Shiva. Hare Krishna.
Go ahead, Mataji.
We should always consider the position of the Ishvara or those who can actually control the movements of the sun and moon as superior. Without such power, one cannot imitate the Ishwaras who are super powerful. Lord Shiva drank poison to the extent of swallowing an ocean. But if any common man tries to drink even a fragment of such poison, he will be killed. There are many pseudo devotees of Lord Shiva who want to indulge in smoking ganja, marijuana, and similarly intoxicating drugs, forgetting that so by imitating the acts of Lord Shiva, they are calling death very near. Similarly, there are some pseudo devotees of Lord Krishna who prefer to imitate the Lord in his Rasa Leela or dance of love, forgetting the inability to lift Govardhana hill. It is best, therefore, that one not try to imitate the powerful, but simply follow the instructions. Nor should one try to copy their posts without qualification. There are so many incarnations of God without the power of the Supreme Godhead.
So Krishna is warning us again. Srila Prabhupada is warning us about imitation versus following. Right? What's the difference between imitation and following?
One is
what
copy.
do you understand? Okay.
Imitation is copying.
Okay.
And
what is following?
Is path. Following is path.
Okay. Any other definition of imitation versus following?
Imitation is sort of a duplicacy, Mataji. But following is somebody who are learning from something. I mean, you look at and imitate somebody, that's a different thing altogether. But when you follow it and learn something, that is a different thing altogether.
Okay. So imitation is, in one sense, is a blind following of external behavior, right? Without understanding the reason for doing that activity, right? So imitation is blind following without understanding, okay, without understanding the instructions. Like when Lord Shiva drank poison to serve the Lord, but his followers will not understand his instructions, but simply go do ganja smoking or do drink bhang in the name of imitating Lord Shiva. Right, so that should be avoided. Trying to imitate the external behavior should be avoided. What should be followed is how is Lord Shiva, who is Lord Shiva meditating on? Who is his Ishta Devata? Who is he praying to? Right? That is following. Well, if Lord Shiva is following certain activities, doing certain things, then we'll follow him because he's a Vaishnava, right? Vaishnava Yatha Shambho. So he's the best among the Vaishnava. So we will follow Lord Shiva because he has exemplified how a Vaishnava should behave, how his mood of meditation renunciation is. So those qualities will follow, not just the external thing of, he drank poison, so, or there's some things about, they say that how he smokes or something like that, and that should be avoided. So imitation should be avoided, but following should be done with the proper understanding of the of why certain things are done, or why is it important for our Krishna consciousness. So Krishna is reminding Arjuna to perform his prescribed duty to avoid ruination of family traditions. So, verse 25.
Jayanthi Mataji is not here, Mataji, but Harsh Prabhu has turned up.
Okay, Harsh Prabhu, do you want to read?
Okay, ma'am. सक्त कर्माणि अविदांसो यथ कुर्वन्ति भरत कुर्यद विद्वंस तथा सक्स सिकिर्सुर लोका संग्रहम. Translation: As the ignorant perform their duties with attachment to results, the learned may similar act but without attachment for the sake of leading people on the right path.
Hare Krishna. So,
Hare.
how ignorant perform the duty, but they are very attached to the result. But the learned people will perform their prescribed duty without being attached to the result, only with the intent to lead people on the right path. So, what is this right path? This right path is as defined in Varnashrama. So if you're a Brahmana, then the responsibility, prescribed duty of a Brahmana is Patan Patan Yajan Yajan. Okay, they'll focus their whole life without being attached to the outcome of Patan Patan, or they don't do Patan Patan to earn money. They do it because that's how to spread the scriptural knowledge to one lineage to the other, right? So they do that with that intent, or they do yajan and yajan to please the Supreme Lord, not with the intent that I'll get gold or money out of this. So they don't have that tendency at all. So those are Brahmanical duties. Similarly, if you're a Kshatriya, then administrative duties, giving protection, right? Even within devotees will have people with Kshatriya tendencies versus Brahmanical tendencies versus Vaishya tendencies, right? But irrespective, right? Even if you're working or not a Krishna conscious person, if you're simply following Varnashrama Dharma, then Krishna is saying focus on your prescribed duty with the intent of leading people. This is how a Shrestha should behave, because Krishna is also behaving the same way. He's doing his prescribed duty so he can set an example for a common man, because this is with the intent to lead them to the right path. Similarly, if a devotee is always thinking about how to earn money, how to get, make this thing profitable versus not, then they should follow the Vaishya Dharma and serve the Lord in that way. And Shudras, especially in Kali Yuga, most of the people are in the Shudra Varna. And it's very auspicious, especially for Shudras, because what is the inbuilt quality of a Shudra is to serve. Whether it's a master is a Brahmana, Kshatriya, or a Vaishya, they will serve the master, right? So that serving tendency is very inbuilt in a Shudra. So that tendency to serve, very easily they can convert into serving the Lord or serving his devotees of the devotees, right? So it just is a matter of consciousness. So Shudra especially, it said that in Kali Yuga, Vyasadeva himself said that there are three kind of people who are very fortunate in Kali Yuga. One is a woman who is serving her, is very devoted to her husband. And another is a servant or a Shudra who's serving their master. Another is the devotees of the Lord. right? So these three people very easily they can completely remove sins because they are serving a master, right? So like this Shudras, even if they are simply serving the Brahmanas, Kshatriyas and Vaishyas very with full surrender, without any doing it for money or not. Of course they'll do it for money, but it's not their main intent to earn money, but the Shudra, even for them, it's to serve their master. So when they do that, very naturally they are able to serve the Lord as well, because if the master is serving the Lord, then they serving the master is also as good as serving the Lord, right? So this is the way if one does your prescribed duty, then they easily get back to Krishna consciousness, right? So a Shrestha should behave such that they set a right path for everyone. But in today's time, remember the word Shudra is very misunderstood, because Shudra is considered to be as the low caste. That's not how Krishna set up the four varnas. The four varnas were created based on guna and work, karma, guna and karma. Right, so the kind of guna they have and the kind of work they did, based on that, the segregation of varna was done. It's not based on birth. It's not based on which lineage you come from, families you come from. No, though that's how it's come up to right now. Somebody who is born in a Shudra family, their son and extended family will be considered a Shudra because you're born to a Shudra father. But even a Shudra can be a Brahmana if they can work in a pious way, right? Or if they like Haridas Thakura. He was born in a Muslim family, but he was able to chant the holy name of the Lord, and hence is a topmost of a Vaishnava. Or similarly, if a Brahmana, if they're not doing their Brahminical duties, though they are born to a Brahmana family, but they're, doing the regular things like smoking, alcohol. Today, many Brahmanas very easily eat eggs. They'll say that, nutrition, protein, and whatnot. So these are not Brahmanas, though they might wear their janiu. They're not considered as Brahmanas because they're not following the scriptures. So, Varna is designed, we should remember that Varnashrama is especially designed for material life. It gives you guidance on how to live your life. It's not for spiritual life so much, it's for how to live a material life while performing your prescribed duties. So, even devotional work must be done without attachment to any kind of position, work, money, and fame. That's the understanding. Okay, let's move to the next verse 26.
न बुद्धिभेदं जनयेद ज्ञानां कर्मसङ्गिनां जोषयेत् सर्वकर्माणि विद्वान् युक्तः समाचरन्. Translation, so as not to disrupt the minds of ignorant men attached to the fruitive results of prescribed duties, a learned person should not induce them to stop work. Rather, by working in the spirit of devotion, he should engage them in all sorts of activities for the gradual development of Krishna consciousness. Hare Krishna.
So this verse is saying, do not disrupt the mind of the ignorant men attached to fruitive work, attached to the fruitive result of prescribed duties. A learned man should not induce them to stop working. Rather, by working in the spirit of devotion, he should engage them in all sorts of activities. So Krishna is saying, if they are ignorant men who are not doing their duties, then let them continue to do that, right? Don't disturb them. So let them do their karma kanda activities. So the ultimately Vedescha Sarvar Aham Veda Vedhyam. This is the end goal of all Vedic rituals. So the purpose of Vedic rituals is Krishna alone. Mataji, if you could kindly read here this part.
All rituals, all performances of sacrifices, and everything that is put into the Vedas, including all direction of material activities, are meant for understanding Krishna, who is the ultimate goal of life. But because the conditioned souls do not know anything beyond sense gratification, they study the Vedas to that end. But through fruitive activities and sense gratification, regulated by the Vedic rituals, one is gradually elevated to Krishna consciousness. Therefore, a realized soul in Krishna consciousness should not disturb others in their activities or understanding, but he should act by showing how the results of all work can be dedicated to the service of Krishna. The
Hare
learned
Krishna.
Krishna. Hare Krishna.
right? So we may have family members who do different kind of deity worship, demigod worship, or you might have people in the family who never pray to any kind of there are many people, especially in my family. There was this one person who never engaged in any kind of deity worship, but one fine day, in whatever mood, he had gone through various ups and downs in life, he came to us and said, I went to this Devi temple, and I felt some kind of internal peace, right? So as devotees, what would you say? Would you say, why did you go to Devi temple? You should have gone to a Krishna temple. No, that's not the right way to deal with such people, especially for ultra neophyte devotees, right? Because if we bring in the politics of Devi versus Krishna, then they'll say, what so much politics to go to temple? I'll not go to Devi nor Krishna temple, right? So don't disturb these neophyte devotees. At least he's come to the point of Devi worship, right? So let him instead of demotivating him, we said, there's another Devi temple that is also nice, you can go there also. So appreciate them, whatever they are doing, whatever temple they are visiting, don't disturb them, so that they engaged in some kind of worship, they engage at some level. So don't disturb, or this is how you engage a ignorant person. Here he is also referring to people who are engaged in karma kanda activities here. Okay, ignorant people are people who are engaged in karma kanda activities, who are doing some kind of demigod worship, right? So Krishna is saying, don't disturb them, let them continue. And why is Krishna saying do not disturb? Because in ISKCON there are so many, why we have the whole Gita Gyan, so we can tell people who are involved in karma kanda to engage in Krishna consciousness. So why is Krishna especially saying do not disturb these people who are doing karma kanda activities? That is explained in the next verse 27.
Hare
Who's
Krishna.
27? Yeah.
Hare Krishna. प्रकृतेः क्रियमाणानि गुणैः कर्माणि सर्वशः अहङ्कारविमूढात्मा कर्ताहमिति मन्यते. Translation: The spirit soul, bewildered by the influence of false ego, thinks himself the doer of activities that are in activity carried out by the three modes of material nature.
This is a very important verse, and this verse, Prakrite kriyamanani gunai karmani sarvashaha ahankara vimudhatma kartaham iti manyate. So Krishna is talking about how the three modes of material nature is the doer of all activities. People who worship different demigods, who resides in different material planet, they see that their prayers are getting quickly fructified, right? So they think that I can see so many material success because of my own endeavor. I pray to this god, that god, and things are all becoming successful. So then they start thinking that, why do I need to surrender to the supreme lord Krishna? Then I can simply do this demigod worship and then take care of and they will take care of me in return, right? So this is a quick process for also, so why even pray to Krishna? Then these ISKCON people, they keep saying Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. There's no enjoyment for people who are following Hare Krishna, because Krishna does not fulfill any material desires like that. And these ISKCON people will do what, the fire burning, and they'll do kirtan. We also do, even the people who are materialistic, they also do some kirtan, they also do yagnas, they also do some austerities. ISKCON people also do some austerities like fasting, they climb hill to ultimately have darshan of the Lord. And materialistic people also do climbing hills, do some austerities. So what is the difference then? They might think like this, right? So in fact, whatever karma kanda activities these people do, the ignorant people do, they think that at least my version of my karma kanda activities is giving me some fun. After doing all these austerities, I can eat whatever I want, I can drink whatever I want. There's no restriction on non-veg, alcohol, no, I can smoke whatever I want, right? But these ISKCON people, after living such a austere life, then they still have the regulative principles, so they still cannot enjoy life, they can't do and eat or drink anything they want. So ultimately, ISKCON people have no fun in their life. So somehow these karma kandis feel very sorry for ISKCON followers, because they think that ISKCON devotees don't have fun. But it's other way around as well, because ISKCON devotees also feel sorry for karma kanda activities or the materialistic people, right? Because these people, ultimately, they have such a strong sense of doership, that I am the doer. So they feel ultimately we see reactions to our karma. I work hard, I see reactions. So if I don't work, then there's no reaction. So they say I should work. I should pray to this demigod. They'll give me quicker reaction. So they feel that you surrender Krishna or not, anyway there's sufferings. There's reaction. So why should I even surrender and still suffer? As well, just have fun. Even if I'm suffering, which is inevitable, then why surrender to Krishna? So materialistic people have a lot of these misconceptions, and because of these misconceptions, they see how results come to them very easily by demigod worship. And there's all this also fires their sense of ego, right? Because uh, Krishna is saying such understandings come from false ego, that I am the doer of these actions. I am the doer of the action, but actually it is the three modes of material nature which is the doer of any action. Okay. Um, the ignorant man forgets that the supreme personality of God is known as Rishikesha, or the master of the senses of the material body. For due to his long misuse of the senses in sense gratification, he is factually bewildered by false ego, which makes him forget his eternal relation with Krishna. Okay, read verse 28, please.
Hare Krishna Mataji.
Hare Krishna.
तत्त्ववित्तु महाभाग कर्मभागयो न गुणेषु वर्तन्ते इति माधवः सज्जते. Translation: one who is in knowledge of the absolute truth, who mighty does not engage himself in the senses and sense gratification, knowing well the difference between work in devotion and work in fruitive results. Work for fruitive results.
Hare Krishna. One who is in the knowledge of the absolute truth, O mighty arm, does not engage himself in the senses and sense gratification, knowing well the difference between work in devotion and work for fruitive action. Ignorant person will never understand the difference between working in devotion and working for fruitive result. They think that as long as the end result is good, let's keep doing fruitive action. But a person who's situated in absolute does not engage in any kind of activities that that is connected to their sense or sense gratification. A second. In his pure state of existence, he is meant to dovetail his activities in devotional service to the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Krishna. He therefore engages himself in the activities of Krishna consciousness and becomes naturally unattached to the activities of material senses, which are all circumstantial and temporary. He knows that his material condition of life is under the supreme control of the Lord. Consequently, he is not disturbed by all kinds of material reaction, which is considered to be the mercy of the Lord. According to Srimad Bhagavatam, one who knows the absolute truth in the three different features, namely Brahman, Paramatma, and the Supreme Personality of Godhead, is called Tattvavit, for he knows also his own factual position in relation with the Supreme. So, this is what the devotee of the Lord does, right? Whatever he does, he's engaged in the Supreme, serving the Lord. So, what does an ignorant person do then? Let's read verse 29.
Hare Krishna Mataji.
Hare Krishna.
प्रकृतिर्गुणः समुद्ध सजन्ते गुणकर्मसु तन् अकृष्ण विदो मन्तन् कृष्ण विन्न विचालयेत्. Translation: bewildered by the modes of material nature, the ignorant fully engage themselves in material activities and become attached, but the wise should not unsettle them, although these duties are inferior due to the performer's lack of knowledge. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. So, bewildered by the ignorant people fully engage themselves in material activities and become more attached, right? They get more attached to sense and sense gratification. But the wise should not unsettle them, although these duties are inferior to the performer's inferior due to the performer's lack of knowledge. So ignorant people keep engaging in material activities and become more attached. And Krishna is saying, do not disturb them, do not unsettle them. So Krishna is saying again and again, he told earlier also, do not disturb the ignorant. He's again saying, do not unsettle them. So these demigod worshippers are considered ignorant or karma kandi. But the wise people should not unsettle them because they are bewildered by the three modes. They are engaging in different, fully engaged in material activities. They do some yagna, they get a lot of success, they get material benefits. So why won't they get attached to that process? Right? They will get attached. Sometimes astrologers, when you have different issues with your horoscope, they recommend some kind of Devi worship, do this yagna, do this Chandi yagna, or perform yagna for this demigod. So different kind of remedies are suggested as per your astrological reading. But uh, for a non-devotee or a demigod worshipper or an ignorant person to do it, and they are doing all this yagna, let them do it. Don't disturb them. But devotees of the Supreme Lord, Krishna, should not follow these lower processes. If karma kandis are doing it, do not disturb them. But if a devotee of the Lord who is only praying to Krishna, one should not be doing all these Devi yagnas or Chandi yagnas or Bhairava yagnas, whatever it is, don't do that. Because ultimately, if you pray to Krishna, all these other demigods, all their issues will also be settled, right? So, such people get immediate reactions. People who do demigod worship and do not have Supreme Lord affection to Supreme Lord, they get immediate reaction because these Devi Devatas are on material realm. You're closer to the material earth. So when you're praying to them, to demigods who are in the higher planets in the same planetary system, you get quicker reactions also. But Krishna does not reciprocate that quickly. You should remember that. He reciprocates only to his pure devotees. But for pure devotee, all these things do not matter whether they get the material benefit, whether Krishna gives them boon or not, does not matter, right? We pray so we can remember Krishna always. If we can remember Krishna, then that is Krishna reciprocating to us. Every second we live, if we are able to remember Krishna, then Krishna is reciprocating to our prayers. Then if we don't remember Krishna on the other side, then Krishna is not blessed us yet, right? Every second we live chanting the holy name of Krishna, that is Krishna blessing us, right? So don't always expect that benefits is in the material sense. Benefit is for our soul. If you're able to remember Krishna constantly, then that is Krishna blessing us. But Krishna is saying if someone is doing devata worship, don't unsettle them. Then how do we understand this? Because in Gita Gyan, we always keep unsettling the devotees of the Lord. So how to understand? So to understand this a little better, let's read this particular verse. This is from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 6, Chapter 9, verse 51. Can someone read this translation alone?
Hare Krishna Mataji, may I try?
Yes, go ahead.
O Bhagavan Indra, all good fortune unto you. I achieve you to approach.
I advise
you to approach the exalted saint. Just a sec, Mataji. 6.9.51.
Sorry, 1 second.
Sure, Mataji.
Sorry, reads 6950. Sorry.
6950, Mataji. Okay.
Yeah. It's on the screen, Prabhu.
Okay, sure, Mataji. Translation: a pure devotee who is fully accomplished in the science of devotional service will never instruct a foolish person to engage in fruitive activities for material enjoyment, not to speak of helping him in such activities. Such a devotee is like an experienced physician who never encourages a patient to eat food injurious to his health, even if the patient desired, even if the patient desires it.
So a devotee of the Lord will never engage or recommend a person to engage in fruitive activities. So just like a physician who knows that certain kind of food is injurious to health will never recommend that the patient eats that food, right? So Bhagavad Gita seems like it's saying do not unsettle these people, but Srimad Bhagavatam is saying don't encourage material activities. So Srimad Bhagavatam is giving a higher science of not engaging in material enjoyment, knowing that giving poisonous food to a diseased person, it will further deteriorate their disease. So a devotee will knowingly not further deteriorate these material conditioning that a being is going through, right? So though Krishna has said, don't disturb this, even then, devotees of the Lord continue disturbing these ignorant souls around them. They will see, they have experienced this nectar of devotion and they want to keep distributing this nectar to everyone. Not like people if they have some very precious thing, they'll try to keep it to themselves, but the devotees are constantly distributing, because every ounce of this nectar that reaches a single ignorant soul, there's hope for that soul to go to reduce their material suffering and go back to Krishna, right? So Bhagavad Gita is saying someone who's not praying, if they at least pray to some demigod, don't disturb their faith, right? Let them at least do that. But to a person who's already worshipping Vishnu, to them, don't go and tell them to do Kali worship or do this yagna or that yagna to please demigod. So that is also wrong. It's like, if there are father has two sons. One son has always been dull in his studies. He's always failed. But one fine day he gets, 50% marks. So what does the father do? He'll go and praise the son. But if the second son is always distinction, passing, but this one exam, he comes back with 50% scores. For the second son, he'll shout, right? So is the father treating the two sons in a biased way? No, the father is acting intelligently. For the son that is done better, he's giving them praises, and the son who is deteriorated from a better state, he is giving him punishment. Similarly, a person who is following materialistic life, and if he's at least come to the state of demigod worship, will not disturb them, will encourage them to be demigod worship, don't unsettle them. But for a person who's already in Vishnu seva or doing Vishnu, will not ask them to come down and do demigod worship. There's a distinction. Okay, will not go with all demigods are the same, Krishna is same. No, that discretion of who is higher and who is lower is very important, right? It's very easy to say that everybody is same, so we'll treat them everybody, but everybody is not the same. And to have the intelligence to say that the Supreme Lord is higher, and the treatment we give to the worship of Supreme God supersedes worship of the demigod, that is true intelligence, right? So this is how Krishna is saying, don't disturb them. We'll just do one more verse 30, and then close for the day. Okay.
Bhagavad Gita, text 30. Mai sarvani karmani sanyasyaadhyatma chetasa nirashi nirmamo bhutva yuddhashva vigata jvaraha. Translation. Therefore, O Arjuna, surrendering all your works unto me with full knowledge of me, without desires for profit, with no claims of proprietorship, and free from lethargy, fight. Hare Krishna, Mataji.
So Krishna is saying, give up your lethargy, vigata jvara. Give up your lethargy and fight with full knowledge, without desire for profit, with no claims to proprietorship, free from lethargy, fight, Krishna is saying. So lethargy here means no desire for acting. Okay, lethargy comes when there's no results, there's no glory. When you're saying give up your fruitive results, desire for the results of your action, naturally lethargy comes in, right? Because there's no glory to the work you're doing. So Krishna is saying give up your lethargy, because there's no. Krishna is saying give up the attachment to the result. So because of that, if lethargy is coming, Krishna is saying give up that lethargy, and when you work for Krishna like this, with no lethargy, right? And Krishna will give us the strength to keep working for him, right? Because there's no seeking. When you're working for Krishna, there's no seeking of personal profit, there's no seeking of personal benefit. This is all for Krishna. Whatever we do is for Krishna. So Krishna, like this, is saying continue to fight, but fight for Krishna. Okay, we'll end our Gita Gyan for today. I think next class we'll be able to complete chapter 3 on Wednesday. So are there any questions on anything that we discussed today? No questions? All good? All clear? Good. Okay, but feel free to ask questions, even if it's offline, if you're not comfortable asking your questions. Though if it would be good if you ask questions in the class, because others might also have those doubts, right? And it becomes a nice discussion. So if there's no further questions, we'll end our class for today. Vancha kalpatarubhyascha kripa sindhubhya eva cha patitanam bhavanebhyo vaishnebhyo namo namaha. Jai.
Hare Krishna Mataji, Dandavat
Hare
Pranam.
Krishna.
Thank you
Dandavat
very much.
pranam.
Thank you, Mataji.
Hare
Thank
Krishna,
Hare
Krishna
Krishna.
Mataji, Dandavat
Hare,
Pranam.
Hare Krishna Mataji, Dandavat
Mataji,
Pranam.
Dandavat Pranam.
Dandavat pranam.
Hare Krishna, Mataji. Dandavat pranam. Thank you.
Hare
Dandavat pranam.
Krishna to all devotees assembled here. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Ending the call for everyone.